Hi again, good people. This is Mike, the Philosopher engineer. It's May, but it's raining, so instead of April showers, we got May showers. You can see I'm a little wet here. Take off my hat and just jump right in. I'm a little behind on the videos, and this week I'm supposed to cover process. So I'm going to make this a little bit longer and kind of cover process in a bigger way, and we'll dig into it. But today my focus, and this is really one of my biggest focus areas of focus in all of our work, and that is a need for speed. So my topic here for Mike's executive conversation is a need for speed. Everything we're doing is about functioning better, performing better, and that actually accelerates projects. So it's project acceleration with greater confidence. One of the ironies in terms of product development is some people think that if you want to get something done faster, you cut corners to get there. Well, that doesn't work. So certainly not in product development. So a need for speed is we want to go fast, but we have to do things better to be fast. So I'm going to get into that here just a bit and try to cover the broader picture of process. This is typically how we engage with companies to help them kind of fine tune things. And I'm going permission to use an analogy here. I'm going to talk about race cars. So why not talk about cars? A lot of what we do is engineering, and you think about all the engineering that goes into cars. Well, when we talk about process, I just want to clarify this baseline. All the companies I work with already have a process, but that process can be improved. So I want to talk about that. And I'm going to look at a couple of key points here that I think are key to looking at your process and improving your process. We've talked already about having a clear purpose. Obviously, you want a clear mission. And also, you want a clear mission, you want a clear purpose, and you want to be aligned. And then you talk about, well, what is that process and what is the goal? Now, one way of thinking about it with cars, I'll just use the car analogy, is just a regular car versus a race car, okay? So, I'm going to kind of use just a Buick to kind of have an idea in mind. So let's say you have a Buick and you want to compare it to a race car. Well, what's different about a race car in terms of a Buick? And we're going to stick here with the idea just to make it easier on the analogy and think about just the engine itself. And I just made a little note here that I've been thinking about engineering, and I'm working with engineering at companies. Most of the companies I work with have a product. And in engineering, the way I see it is engineering is the engine of the company. It's the thing that drives it. And when engineering is done right and you make great products, it drives the entire business. Obviously, it goes into all the different areas. So think about all this process in terms of an engine, So it's the engine of innovation, it's the engine of making manufacturing products. And what I focus on is to make sure the products are not only viable, but really succeed in production. So if you have a really neat idea and a neat design, but you can't produce it and you can't manufacture it, and it's not reliable in the field, that's a problem. So back to my little car analogy. So let's say you have a car that you want to go faster, and you go faster, but let's say it breaks down, or in a race car, example, you have to make more pit stops. Well, you might go really fast, but if you have to make a lot of pit stops, that may be the difference between winning and losing. And we're in a competition, whether we recognize it or not. We're in a competition for getting products out faster, that have better features, that are more reliable, and so it's not something to take casually. So let's talk a little bit about process and what we mean by a need for speed. Well, the first thing that many of you may be familiar with is when you're designing a product, you go through different phases. And here, just a little quick description of one way of looking at it. Might be a little different with each company, but you kind of have your concept phase. Hey, you have this idea, maybe you make some prototypes, you don't have it proven out. You take the concept and you go into a design phase where you refine it a little bit more and make sure that it meets all of those needs. And when you're on a confident path in the design phase, then you get into development. There's more testing, there's more optimization and refinement before you launch the product and approve it. And then once you launch it, you get into manufacturing. Now here's a key thing that many people are aware of, maybe you are or you're not aware of, but it's the cost of fixing a problem or making a change as you get later in the program. And the rule of thumb I've heard, and I think it's not too far off the mark, is that with each phase, it costs you an order of magnitude more to make that change than it did in the previous phase. That's just kind of a ballpark way of thinking about it, but in general, the concept is true. So the later you find a problem, the more it costs. Now, so if you say an order of magnitude, so 10 times more. So if you can fix a problem in the concept phase, you've done it early on and you've understood something. So this is where the proactive part helps. If you fix it in the design phase, it might cost 10 times as much to make that change, to fix that problem. If you don't catch it until the development phase, now you have a lot of money and time invested. You might lose some dates, but aside from that, just the overall cost to your program goes up another order of magnitude. Now you're up to 100 times the cost. And if it gets in manufacturing and then you find a problem, and this isn't a hypothetical, there are a lot of products out there, unfortunately, that have a problem in manufacturing. You may have to shut down manufacturing. If it's a medical device, you might have some problems with the FDA. Certainly your customers might not be too happy, and then you have to go fix it. Very expensive. It's just a brutal process that you'd like to avoid. So what does all this mean? The more proactive you are, the earlier you find a problem, and fix it, to really make that design robust earlier on and cost you less. So what does that mean in terms of the whole company and the whole budget? Well, that means if you invest more in this phase to get this right, to do it proactive, it's going to cost you a lot less and you're going to accelerate the project a lot. And if you do, there's other methods and processes like following a Scrum type model where it's very dynamic and you're on a good cadence and you're sharing information. I'll get into some of those other things, but this is the very key point. Almost all of us want to go faster, but we want to go faster without, wrecking the car. So we need to make our engine better. We need to make it stronger. We need to refine it. If you think about a race car, every little thing has to be done for you to go 200 miles an hour. You have to have a level of perfection you don't need when you're driving at 60 or 70 or 80 miles an hour in your Buick. So that's why you already have a process, but your process might be more like the Buick, and maybe you want to be more like the race car, or at least a high performance car, because that's the engine of your entire business. So that's kind of enough on the analogy. Now, what does that mean? Well, at the engine, you're developing a product, you're creating a platform. Now that engine, at the center of that engine is a knowledge base. Every company has a knowledge base. How well you manage it will drive how successful you are in the development of your products. So I want to think about that, and kind of at the, how do you manage that knowledge base? And the knowledge base is built on first principles. So you understand the physics, you understand the engineering, and you do the math. The real knowledge base is captured in the math. Now that math could be for geometry, it can be for function. We don't need to get into all those details, but you have your CAD for the geometry. You do your math, whether it's in Excel or other math-based programs. There's simulation programs, so you can really understand things. There's no reason to guess. How do we accelerate? We have a need for speed. We should go faster. We accelerate by not guessing. We accelerate by driving this whole process of knowledge. And the one place that you would be foolish, I'll use the word foolish, to cut corners is right there at the very beginning. That's your investment. When you do this right and you commit to excellence at every step along the way, the entire project goes faster, not slower. And you're looking for failure proactively. You're breaking things on purpose. So you're not waiting for a trial and error process. Oh, I hope this works. No, that's not the way you go about it. You drive a great design, you understand how it works, and then you find out where it breaks, and you address those weaknesses proactively, aggressively, as early as possible. So change your whole budget. It's kind of like the Six Sigma model. Don't come in with low cost and explore things, then later on get serious about it, because if you don't get serious about really understanding things till the development phase, it's going to cost you a lot more. You'll miss your dates. People won't have confidence in you. If you're proactive and it's knowledge driven, and that knowledge driven is based on mathematical relationships, and you test it in a lab and you use the simulation tools and you understand how it works, you're just going to go a lot faster. And it's fun. It's really fun, and you'll have greater confidence in the entire business. The executive team will have more confidence in that development process of the products, and they'll start to recognize that engineering is the engine of their business. All right, did I hit everything? This is the second week of process. I know I've done fewer videos, apologize for that. I may do a little bit more. The previous months I've hit on process as well, but I'll get back to that. But I want to give that framework that you already have a process. And that process, it may not be fine-tuned for high performance. It might be intermediate level performance, and you want to go to a higher level of performance. There's a whole bunch of reasons to do that. Certainly to beat the competition, also to give your customers more confidence in what you're doing and why you're doing it. And then next week we'll talk about action. But really, this need for speed, this is all about accelerating the development of products with greater confidence and knowing what it takes to be successful in commercializing and launching it. And every step of the way, they will have more confidence in your process. But think about the phase you're in. Your big investment, the seed of your big tree, is at the concept phase. Let's do that right, and it makes all the difference, and I think everyone can enjoy it. Don't shortchange that concept phase. And not just that you're spending money there, but you're spending money to build the knowledge base from the beginning on a great product. All right, that's pretty long-winded, but I had to cover for missing previous videos. If you hear any noises, because it's still raining, there's some thunder maybe coming through the video, but I think that's great. Some of our clients are starting to pick up again. Things are opening up with the coronavirus. Whether they're working remote or not, this is the time to be proactive, to prepare for growth, improve our process. Let's be a little bit more like a race car than a Buick, and get that engine kind of tuned for performance and reliability, and everybody wins. That sounds like a good idea. All right, guys, thanks very much. We'll talk again soon. Bye.